Welcome to JustWannaQuilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and, of course, a little bit of copyright thrown in just for fun. I'm Elizabeth Townsend-Guard, your host. I'm a law professor at Tulane University Law School. I also hold 2 fellowships right now, one at the Business School and one at the Newcomb Institute at Tulane. And I just want to quilt. So today we talked to Amanda Hayes, who is the Corporate Communications Manager for Joann's stores. And we talked to her about all kinds of things and sort of where Joann has been within this homemade mask phenomenon. It's a really interesting interview. I hope you like it.
Sure. My name's Amanda Hayes. I'm the Corporate Communications Manager at Joann Stores, and I'm joining you from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, how is Charlotte at this moment?
It's very pleasant, actually. A little bit cloudy, but in the mid-60s, so hard to complain.
That is hard. It's true. It's very true. And the next question we always ask is, tell us your first memory of someone sewing or quilting in your life.
Well, my grandmother and my aunt on my father's side were both very into quilting, so I kind of grew up around it. I have so many handmade quilts. Probably the most special one is one that's made out of all of my grandmother's old blouses that my aunt made for all of us after her passing. But there were always sewing machines. My mom sews, my sister sews. I try to sew, but I won't say that I'm an expert by any means. But I think it's something that's so special because I think everybody has a connection, even if they don't do it themselves. That's kind of what's so cool about working at Joann, is just to hear all of the experiences, and there's truly like a common thread that connects us all.
Right. So tell us a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about COVID-19 and what Joann has been doing and just the whole thing that's happening. But I'm curious, what was your life like before all of this began? What did
my life with Joann, you mean?
Yeah.
So we in the corporate communications business, we handle all of the external and internal, and also our charitable giving in terms of communication. So I think that what we have been focused on is really celebrating and sharing the different ways that people can get creative. And in the past few years, you may have seen that Joann has undergone a little bit of a rebrand. And that's not to say that we've departed from the sewing business, but we've really leaned into kind of diversifying. And so the past few years, we've really been amping up our storytelling around general craft and kids craft, and just helping people get creative, because sometimes sewing can be a little bit intimidating. Yeah. So for people who are looking for a creative outlet, we've really been kind of, just, I guess, focused on telling the story of what Joann is beyond the Joann fabrics that many people are familiar with.
Yeah.
So I think before COVID-19, unfortunately, we've been watching it for a very long time. When it started, just thinking more about our supply chains and things like that. I think that as it evolved and became very apparent that that the nation was unfortunately going to get hit hard, and even more unfortunately underprepared in terms of PPE, we really saw the opportunity to kind of lean in and help where we could.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us, there's lots of parts to this story. I think it's such an incredible story. So tell us what Joann is doing, and sort of how did you get there? How were you ready to go, or tell us a little bit about sort of what Joann is doing.
Sure. So, as many are probably aware, when the virus started spreading, it became very, very apparent and was being talked about very widespread, that there was a severe shortage of personal protective equipment in America's hospitals and healthcare systems.
Now I'm going to ask you.
And
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. Do you have a
yeah.
sense, because we're doing it for preservation as well? So when did that happen? When on your side of it did you realize that that was happening? I'm curious, like generally, kind of when did that come on your radar?
I would say that it was probably early on our radar in January.
Wow, interesting.
And
That's
then,
really early.
yeah, and then, well, we were actually seeing a lot of hospitals started to come to us for large amounts of fabric so that they could make their own. And then we started to see kind of this grassroots effort from lots of different sewing groups who were wanting to help out. And I think that, as of course these hospitals were reaching out for fabric and elastic to make their own N95 mask covers, their own scrubs, their own protective equipment. And we kind of saw this opportunity to step up and help. And the amazing thing about the situation is that we have kind of all of the key parts that would be necessary to kind of stand up a wartime effort is really how we're looking at it.
Yeah,
we've got this amazing customer base who has the talent and has their sewing machines, and they're ready to go, and they're looking for things to do to help. We've got the materials. We know there's a need. So kind of that three-part problem solution just kind of came together very naturally.
All right. So tell us more about the story. Joann has become such a crucial part of like everyone's effort in this like most amazing way. So tell us a little bit more about once you realized the need and you were seeing the escalation.
Sure. So we've been early on, I would say in February, we started partnering with some different healthcare systems to make sure that we were helping people in a way that would be most effective. So we started partnering with various healthcare systems and researchers, specifically out of the Boston area, and we were testing what materials are best, what patterns are best, what is going to be most effective. And then kind of in tandem with that, as we were, quickly trying to find the best solutions or the ideal solution, we looked at our store fleet. We have more than 860 stores across the nation. And we basically said, okay, we've got all sorts of cotton fabric. 100% cotton fabric is what's recommended in terms of material for face masks. And we said, we kind of quickly stood up this program that said, okay, let's donate and make kits for people to come in and pick up. They can, if we cut a yard or a yard and a half of fabric and stick it in a bag with elastic and a pattern, people can very easily come in, grab a kit, take it home if they'd like. We did initially offer up our sewing studios for anyone who did not have a sewing machine at home. But again, as the virus spread, we pivoted more to the curbside pickup and having people kind of picking up the materials and making at home and then bringing them back to us. And then we've been connecting with our local hospital systems in each of those stores, local communities. So it's really been a very beautiful grassroots effort that has people contributing and working toward a cause.
It's amazing. It's so amazing.
And since it's really exciting, actually today, we've been kind of calculating the other thing I'll just add on to that is we also saw that in addition to these, and I should have pointed out that the kits that we're donating are free of cost to the helpers who are out there giving of their time. But as we started ramping up this program, we also noticed a huge uptick in both the 100% cotton materials and the elastic and different various, the interfacings and things like that. So between the kit donations, between corporate donations that we've given directly to hospitals, and between those incremental cotton and elastic sales, today we actually hit the mark where we estimate that over 100 million masks have been made since February.
Amazing. I mean, seriously, I just can't. I mean, you are like, this story is just incredible on so many levels, and you've got it. You did it all in this amazing way. So, so a couple of questions. The other thing I see here, which I think is really interesting, besides the fact that you are like at the center of all of this, is how many people are sewing. Like this conversation about like, how do we get people to sew? How do we have a next generation sewing? Like, it's happening now. And I'm curious about your thoughts about that with sewing machine purchases and everybody learning how to make masks. And it's remarkable in some, I think, you know?
It absolutely is. In addition to, of course, the material purchases and elastic, we have seen a huge surge in demand for sewing machines, which is really actually exciting because, to your point, that we're not only engaging the folks who already knew how to sew or knew the skill or already had a passion. We know that this is, while of course a very unfortunate and very heartbreaking situation, there is a little bit of a silver lining, I guess, from a creative standpoint, because this wonderful time-honored kind of skill is now being picked up by more people. And I think that, to your point, and by no means does Joann, take credit as the only ones that are working on this effort, but there's just so many individuals who are out there looking for ways to help. And I think that, in a time where we don't have control over a lot, it's really nice to feel like you have some control over at least being able to, make a mask and do something and feel like you're physically doing something to help combat or stop or slow the spread.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that people are asking for them. It isn't, I'm a cultural historian by training, so I've studied a bunch of this kind of stuff in other realms. And I just think like, this is a moment, and your company has really been heroic. And it's just I'm really thrilled to have you here because I don't really know what this would be like without your effort. It'd be very different. And I think sort of the message you put out there and the kindness and the donations and sort of being there. You've also put them sewing machines on sale. Like you've really done a lot of things to make this community stronger. And I really salute you to that. It's just insanely remarkable to watch as you do this.
Oh, thank you so much. But I mean, it's truly, the efforts of the people who are out there. And I think it's a testament to the strength of America. And I mentioned, kind of a wartime mentality earlier, but, our president and CEO has talked often about, and I think that, it's been brought up in the media and other places as well before, but, we're kind of in a World War II situation where people are looking to join the fight. And they're figuring out how, okay, if I, back in the day, making, bullets or whatever, Rosie the Riveter, like that's kind of this is our chance to do that and to contribute. And I think it's, while it's, again, such a heartbreaking time, it's beautiful to see people truly coming together behind a cause that is protecting those people who are protecting us and protecting one another.
Yeah. Okay, so there's this bingo card going around. I don't know if you've seen it, about like how many things you've done. Like I've made masks, I've ripped out stuff, I've bought more fabric, right? And I think I've done all of them but like one square. And one of them is pickup on fabric. And I'm curious about how is that working, and what's What's that like, and how can we, for those who haven't been adventuresome enough to do it, help us understand what we do with that?
Sure. So again, as all of this started coming to light in late February, early March, we heard from our customers who were either older or at risk, immunocompromised, and they were looking for a way to take our buy online, pick up in store a step further and really make it contactless.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do that in the best way possible to protect both our customers and our team members, of course.
Yeah.
So truly, it is completely contactless. People can just go to Joann.com, make a purchase of fabric or whatever they need to make their masks or other items, and select buy online, pick up in store, choosing their local store at checkout. And then once they get their confirmation email that their order has been picked in the store, they can simply just drive up and call the store when they arrive, pop their trunk, and a team member will bring it out. And all of our team members are following, of course, all social distancing guidelines, and they have masks and gloves, and so they'll just stick the bag of goodies right in your trunk.
It's really great. It's so great.
I have a follow-up question regarding the curbside pickup. I just did it today at Best Buy, and you may or may not know the answer to this, but do you think that maybe the curbside pickup model may be kind of the standard going forward, at least for the next little while, or how do you think that may change retail and as we know it, if you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So to answer your first question, absolutely. I think that curbside pickup, we're definitely planning to continue. Again, there's so much uncertainty right now as far as what's going to happen with the disease, if there's going to be a resurgence in the fall as they're predicting. Of course, we want to continue to ensure the safety of, again, our customers and team members. So absolutely, I think that the curbside pickup model is going to continue across retail. And secondly, I guess to just add some color to that, we have had we've actually been deemed an essential business in many, I think all but 2 states in the U.S. But depending on localities, some of our stores still are open to the public, but at a limited capacity, but others are open only for curbside pickup. So I guess the shift that we saw, as many retailers again did, we just saw a huge explosion in our omni-channel business. And by omni-channel, I mean people who are buying just directly from Joann.com to ship to their home. But also this buy online, pick up in store model has been incredible. And I believe it's more than 80% of our business currently is
amazing,
is on the omni-channel side, which is completely flipped from how it typically is, because you go into the craft store or you go into Joann and you want to touch and feel things. We have a very, a tactile kind of niche business, where if you know the model of what you want from something at Best Buy, you can kind of, you don't necessarily have to see it with you don't need to physically see it before you feel comfortable making a purchase.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's a very different, and I think that's it's something else that it's a reason that we have been growing as a business, and we've been actually adding brick and mortar stores where other retailers have been challenged in that area, is that people want to come into the store. And I think that I'm not saying by any means that our stores are at risk, again, because we've got this awesome curbside pickup model, but also the team members, because so many times people are coming to our stores looking for guidance or help.
Yeah.
Even to, how do I make a mask? That's one of the biggest questions we've been getting, of course, is, please help me, especially if I'm new, or what do I need? And so I think it's that was a really long way of answering your question, but I do think
No,
that
thank you. That was great.
that we're going to continue looking for ways to make sure that people are feeling safe, but also exploring their creative outlets.
All right, I've got two sets of questions if you are willing to spend just a little bit more time with me.
Sure.
Or with us. Haley's here too. It's so great. First, I'm curious, with everybody's kids home, are you also seeing an uptick in things to do with kids? I'm curious on that side of it, what you're seeing.
Yeah. So definitely general craft and kids craft has also been performing really, really well. It's such an uncharted territory, and now people are being asked not only to be mom or dad or a sister or brother, but also a teacher and a home chef and all of these other things. So we are seeing a lot of demand for both, specific kids crafts, but also inspiration. So we actually, kind of in tandem with all of this, it was serendipitous, but we relaunched Joann's YouTube channel specifically to inspire people at home, is kind of the way that we've shifted. And so every day we are putting up new kind of how-tos and kids inspiration ideas, things to help manage anxiety, all of those different things. So new content's going up daily because we're really seeing demand for people who are looking to engage with their kids, but then also, manage a stressful time.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think about if I was a kid, we would be ordering things all the time. I would, what else can we do? I think it's really interesting. The other question I have is on the quilting side. So just to give you a context, well, I have two parts of this question. First, I'm like a big Joann's fan. We have this little local one that I think you're shutting down and making into a bigger store or new store. So, but Joann for me has always been like, especially if I had a cruddy day, that I can like jump in the car at like 8:00 at night and like go buy some fabric, or like, I don't know, it's my little escape from the world. And I've always loved Joann, and I've always loved your fabric. And when I go to my little local shop, they always are like, "Hey, professor," which is so funny. They don't know about the Just Wanna Quilt podcast. I've never told them, but there's just a sense of like, it's home, right? And I feel I have a lot of love for Joann. That said, I think quilting community gets confused, or they don't really understand, or they feel threatened, like the local quilt shop versus Joann, and sort of how they should think about it. Because I personally think that there's room for both, and I shop really differently at my local quilt shop versus Joann, right? And I'm curious what your thoughts are, because I know you all have really expanded in terms of quilting fabric and other things, and I'm curious what your thoughts are about that relationship between the local quilt shop and a Joann shop in your neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Joann, as a business, we're always looking to serve and inspire people. And one of the things that we did, I would say it's probably starting about 4 or 5 years ago, we really were hearing from the quilting community that the materials that we were providing just weren't serving that, especially the higher skilled or higher quality quilting community.
Mm-hmm.
So we have completely revamped our quilt shop. We even named it Joann's Quilt Shop.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot. If your listeners have not been into a Joann for the past few years, they may want to just come in and take a peek, because we really have invested in a lot more of our premium fabrics, notions. There's a lot more special occasion for anyone who's looking to expand a little bit. But I think that definitely that was something that we heard. We acknowledged that maybe we were not doing our best, not doing as well as we could be, serving that very passionate community. And so, we've really worked over the past, I would say, definitely past 3 years to completely revamp that. And even if your local Joann is small or maybe doesn't have all of the SKUs that you might be looking for, definitely Joann.com. There are, I can't even tell you how many thousands of SKUs of quilting fabric we have. But in addition, we also recognize that that the community wants to support their local quilt shops as well. But to your point, I think that there is a little something for everybody. And even if it's, getting your group together and using one of our creator studios, which is open to anyone for use. We kind of transformed our classrooms into this open community space that's free for anybody to just rent out in the past year. And, I think the important part for us is that people keep that skill alive. I mean, it's something that has been going on for as long as humankind practically. And the technology is changing, but I think it's just there's nothing like making, giving, or receiving a handmade quilt. There's just nothing like it.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you know anything about this, but I know that we're a very small Grace frame dealer. But they were telling us that Joann, that they had partnered with Joann to sell long arms. So I'm curious how that's going and where you find those. How widespread is that?
Yeah, so we have been, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we've been rebranding, and actually in 2018 we launched our first concept store, which has again, based on just consumer research, all sorts of new technologies, rentable machines.
Cool.
There's glow forge machines, Cricut machines, all sorts of different things, interactive displays, and it really is intended to be a model where people come into the store and they want to create together or they want to learn together. It's really not, the creative community and the crafting and the sewing communities, it's about doing things together. And so we really heard a lot about that.
And is that the one in Columbus, Ohio? The concept store?
Yeah, exactly.
I totally I have no other reason to go to Ohio, but I totally want to go to your store.
Oh
it
my
looks
gosh.
so cool. So it looks really, really interesting. Have you implemented some of those into the other stores, or sort of what's your idea?
Exactly. Yeah. So we have been opening kind of we're not calling them more concept stores, but it's our new model stores. And so we have been, I think we opened 12 to 15 over the past year, and across the nation. So there may be one coming to you soon.
Yeah.
But as we're going in and renovating or building new stores, we're implementing all of these, all of the kind of really key concepts that we heard were working. So rentable machines. Hugely. And what we call our sewing studio were two of the things that were by and large some of the most popular.
Yeah.
And so we have implemented both our sewing studio, which has a very, a much expanded, very broad range of machines, including the long arm sewing machines.
Yeah.
And so they also have the rentable long arm sewing
That's
machines.
Really great.
So if you don't want to drop all of that money on
a
long arm, you can still come in and use it.
It's so funny because we unintentionally have become like a Grace dealer, and mostly people are coming over to the house, because we've got two of them at the house, to rent time or to learn or to experience it, because at least in the New Orleans area, there's no place to rent time on a long arm here at all. Zero. Wow. And people will come from over, or I think maybe even in Baton Rouge as well. I'm not sure, but we've gotten people from Baton Rouge, from an hour and a half away, coming to use the machines that we have, which, so it's been very strange that our community has that kind of, there's a deficit here, which is really interesting. So.
Yeah, I do believe actually that I know it's somewhere in Louisiana.
Yeah.
I'll have to get back to you, but we do have a new store. And of course, with all of the current situation with COVID-19, some of our building plans and the best laid plans are being put a little bit on hold. But so the rentable long arms are in all of our new stores.
Yeah, it'll be huge. And we're really such big fans of Grace because they're so affordable and usable. And we've been using them for about 2 years. And the Grace Company has been so good to us as a project because we're at a Tulane University, and they've been so reasonable and kind to us that we really do adore them.
Oh, that's terrific. That's terrific.
All right, sorry, I swallowed wrong.
No, you're fine.
I swallowed wrong, so hold on just a second.
I'm drinking a blue Gatorade.
Yeah? Oh, goodness. All right, last question. Affiliate and ambassador programs. Help us understand what these are.
Yeah, so we have an affiliate program where people can apply on our website, Joann.com. And basically, if you want to share Joann products, we give you a special link, and then you get a percentage of sales. We've seen that program grow exponentially over the past couple of years, and some of our biggest social influencers that we work with are bringing in thousands of dollars selling things like Cricut machines, sewing machines.
That's so great.
Which is amazing for them.
Yeah.
And I would say, we've got such a great community of Joann fans on social media and of course in our stores. And, we definitely just thank all of them. And we have a specific ambassador program that we've kind of reformed over the past year. But we've got different key categories, and sewing, of course, is one of them. And I don't know if you're familiar also, but there are some great quilting videos and tips and just community how-tos. We bought a digital learning company a couple of years ago called Creative Bug. And they have a lot of great kind of quilting experts and different folks who are featured on the videos there.
It's really great. It's so great. Well, I'm just so psyched you came, and I can't wait. I think we are getting a new shop. That's what I've heard. So we'll be looking for that. I'll be sad to see my little rundown, strange, quirky one go, but I'm also potentially very excited about the new shop. So yeah, I think it's all super groovy. Thank you so much for coming. Are you cool with us posting this? Is there anything else you want to say before we end the recording?
I would just say that anybody who's interested in maybe getting a pattern or joining the program can find more at joann.com/make-to-give. And thank you so much for the time, and thanks to all who are helping, sew to protect America and slow the spread of this horrible disease. Yeah,
it's horrible. All right, thanks so much. Hold on just a sec while I turn off the recording.
Sure.
The recording has stopped.
So you've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School. And I'm Elizabeth Townsend-Gard. If you like this podcast, keep listening. Also, we have a Facebook group. Come join us. We talk about a lot of things. We also have an Instagram account. And of course, most importantly, I really hope you get a chance to quilt today.